Well, good morning. I'm here in the shade by my blackberry patch right now because you know what? It's getting hot today. It's going to be 97. So I thought I'd talk a little bit more about gardening and give you a couple of thoughts and a couple of details that I didn't put in last time. All right, what kind of mulch do you want? What do you want in a mulch that you're going to cover your garden beds with? Okay, I am not in favor of wood chips. Wood chips are wonderful for your paths because they break down slow. They'll stay for a long time. But that's the exact reason why I don't want them in my garden beds. Because in my garden beds, I want a mulch that breaks down quicker than that. Because what it's doing is it's breaking down and then it's adding nutrients to your soil. So I like to use straw or I like to use hay. Now I think hay works a little better. It's finer grained and so it spreads out nicer and it does a better job of suffocating out the weeds. The straw is a little more attractive because it stays a nice, more golden color and it looks a little bit better. But other than that, it's a little stemmier and a little coarser, so there's a little difference in how well it works and how well it breaks down, but not a huge amount. Other things that you can use that would be fantastic: lawn clippings. If you're lucky enough to have a big riding mower with a bagger on it, perfect. Initially start by mulching everything down with straw, hay, whatever you can get inexpensively. And then through the summer, as you mow your yard, just reinforce that with your lawn clippings. Fantastic. You're taking something that, you know, was a waste product and you're putting it to a wonderful use. Okay? Another thing that you never want to forget about is leaves. Fall leaves are just garden gold. Okay? If you talk to people who compost, uh, they will talk about using leaf mulch. You putting a little compost leaves into their compost, and what wonderful nutrients are in the leaves. So that's all good stuff. The thing to remember here is that these are growing things you're taking off the land, whether it's straw, hay, leaves, whatever. These things grew within their little cells. There's nutrients. You spread them on top of the ground and let them break down, and those nutrients are going in. Now, there's one thing I can tell you for sure. Over the last week or two, I've put in the last of my plants into the garden. Uh, Watermelons, cantaloupes, the last few marigolds. I had one leftover rhubarb that I potted up in the greenhouse, and I've put all those things into the garden. And I want you to know that without fail, every divot of soil I took out with my trowel, I saw worms. And that's a wonderful sign. That's a great sign that you're doing the right thing. Worms are attracted to your soil because there's a lot of organic matter there. Now, worms are feeding off the bottom of that composting mulch. And that's fantastic. And what do they leave when they eat all that stuff? Well, they leave worm castings. You can't beat that. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about is don't get discouraged because I don't have this or that. I talked to a guy the other day, said, well, I can't do what you do because I don't have raised beds. Don't have to have them. You can, you just don't have to have them. Till your garden up one last time. Use the loose soil out of your paths to throw on to hill up, beds. And then mulch everything in and leave it that way. Keep adding to it. You can do that. It doesn't require the construction of raised beds. Another thing somebody might say is, well, I don't have a greenhouse. I can't start my own plants. Well, you know what? You don't really have to. You can go out and buy plants if that's the way you want to go. If you want to go out and buy broccoli plants, tomatoes, and you can get cucumber plants, anything you want practically, except for green beans and corn, you pretty much have. And in Britain, they sell those. I was watching a video the other day, a guy I subscribe to, that he had brought home some packages of sweet corn planted up. So don't be discouraged. You don't have a greenhouse, fine. Maybe you can get a hold of a couple old storm windows, and build you a little cold frame. Works just as good, maybe better. That's a cheap solution, and it would allow you to start some seeds somewhere other than your garden, and then transplant them into the garden when they're tall enough. And also, a cold frame can be used as a spare bed, later in the summer when you got one more thing I want to plant. Okay, so don't be discouraged because I don't have this or that. Use your head. You can figure out a way you can still do it if you want to. Now, the third thing I'm going to bring up is this. You're going to want, as much fun as the mulch gardening is, and as good as the results become, you know what, you're still going to have a couple of things that you're going to want to plant in some open soil. Okay, how do you do that? Well, I can tell you what I do, and it's a pretty common solution. I do some container plants. I have 4 5-gallon buckets in my garden, and I'll probably expand that eventually. Then those 5-gallon buckets, I've drilled holes in the bottom of them, I've set them down, and I've filled them with soil. Every year we're going to dump those out, remix up the soil, probably add rabbit manure to it, put them back in the buckets and plant this year's stuff. I know last year carrots are particularly unsuccessful in the state of Kansas. I just never had been able to grow carrots. Well, I planted 2 kinds of carrots in buckets, and one variety, they grew clear to the bottom of the buckets. I was amazed. It really worked good. So a little container gardening on the side, to keep it fun and keep it easy. You can do it without. Like I say, if you want to, you can rake that mulch back in the early spring, and you can plant seeds right into the soil. So it's up to you how you want to do things. But it is nice to have a little expansion room. A little something like a few containers or your cold frame that you're done using for the spring. Then maybe you can plant a little extra something in that last minute comes up and I want to plant this. So, that's it. That's all I've got to share. That's about the last of the details. If you got a question, please ask. Please get on, because I'll post this on Facebook and I'll post it on YouTube. So if you do have a question, get on Facebook or get on YouTube and put it on there. We don't get near enough comments, and I wish we did. I wish we got more. But, okay, I've enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed it too. Y'all have a quality day.